Brothers and sisters, history has shifted. A landlocked nation that the world once ignored has just shaken the foundations of global power. Burkina Faso, standing tall and unbroken, has signed a $20 billion investment deal with Turkey, not France, not the United States. Not the same powers who drained our resources and left us in chains, but Turkey, a nation that dares to treat us as equals, not slaves. And with the stroke of a pen, the world has changed. For decades, France dictated who could invest in our lands, who could touch our gold, who could claim our cotton, who could profit from our sweat. For decades, Washington used its financial weapons, its institutions, its propaganda, to keep us on our knees. They called it partnership, they called it aid, but it was nothing more than modern slavery. And today, Burkina Faso has said, no more. Do you hear the tremor in Paris? Do you see the panic in Washington? Do you feel the fear in Brussels? They know what this means. They know that if Burkina Faso can break free, others will follow. Mali will follow with its gold, Niger will follow with its uranium, Congo will follow with its cobalt, and when Africa unites, the Western Empire collapses. This is not just about money. This is not just about $20 billion. This is about dignity. This is about sovereignty. This is about a people who refuse to be dictated to any longer. For the first time in generations, Burkina Faso has chosen a partner not imposed by colonial masters, but chosen by her own will, for her own benefit, for her own destiny. And the West is afraid. They fear the contagion of courage. They fear that their centuries of free wealth are ending. They fear that their factories will no longer run on stolen African resources. They fear that the age of colonial dominance is collapsing before their very eyes. But my brothers and sisters, we must understand. This is not just Burkina Faso's victory, it is Africa's call to arms. It is a message to every African leader, every African youth, every African worker: we are not weak. We are not dependent, we are not eternal slaves. We can rise, we can choose, we can define our destiny. This deal is not just an investment, it is a declaration of war against exploitation. It is a signal that Africa will no longer kneel before Paris. Africa will no longer bow before Washington. Africa will no longer beg for crumbs from the very thieves who stole our bread. The world is watching, and history is writing a new chapter. When our children ask us what we did in this moment, let us say we stood. Let us say we refused to be cowards. Let us say we walked with Burkina Faso, and we marched with Africa, and we shouted with one voice: the age of colonialism is dead, and a new dawn has begun. So rise, Africa, rise and claim what is yours. The chains are broken, the path is open, and the future belongs not to those who kneel, but to those who stand. Brothers and sisters of Africa, children of the Sahel, sons and daughters of a proud continent, today we gather not just to announce a contract, not just to sign an agreement, but to declare before the world that a new era has begun. An era in which Burkina Faso stands tall, no longer as a pawn in the game of others, but as a sovereign force shaping its own destiny. Today Burkina Faso and the Republic of Turkey have signed a $20 billion investment deal, and with the stroke of that pen, the chains of neocolonialism have cracked, the illusions of Western dominance have been challenged, and the voice of Africa has thundered across the earth. For too long, we were told that the road to progress must pass through Paris, through Washington, through Brussels. We were told that if Africa wanted roads, it must beg the West. If Africa wanted schools, it must borrow from the West. If Africa wanted hospitals, it must surrender its sovereignty to the West. If Africa wanted industry, it must hand over its minerals and wait for crumbs from the tables of empire. But today, Burkina Faso has declared that our future does not need permission from former colonizers. Our destiny will not be dictated by the White House nor measured by the palace. Our destiny will be built by our own choices, our own alliances, our own courage. This $20 billion deal is not just money, it is defiance, it is freedom, it is proof that the narrative of dependency is a lie. For generations, France treated Burkina Faso as its backyard, a land to be exploited, a territory where leaders were toppled if they resisted, where resources were plundered without mercy. The uranium of Niger, the gold of Burkina, the cotton of Mali, all were siphoned away, leaving our people in misery while Europe flourished. The United States, too, played its hand, presenting itself as a friend, while weaving a web of military bases, debt traps, and diplomatic manipulations. They came with speeches of democracy, but behind those speeches were claws of control. And yet here we stand, no longer looking west, but looking to new partners who respect us as equals. Turkey has not come to lecture us. Turkey has not come to impose its culture or demand that we bow. Turkey has come with respect, with investment, with technology, with partnership. This is what makes today historic. It is not only A deal of dollars, it is a deal of dignity. Imagine, my brothers and sisters, what this deal represents. $20 billion flowing not into the pockets of colonial powers, but into the soil of Burkina Faso. This means roads that connect our villages, highways that unite our regions. This means hospitals that treat our children, universities that educate our youth, factories that process our resources at home. This means energy grids that no longer flicker with shortages, but blaze with the power of Africa. This means industries rising. Where once there was only extraction, for centuries, our gold was dug and shipped abroad. Our cotton was harvested and sent to Europe, where it was transformed into expensive fabrics while our farmers remained poor. Our youth were told that the only way to succeed was to migrate, to cross deserts and seas in search of opportunity. But today this deal declares that opportunity will not be abroad, it will be here, in Burkina Faso, in Africa. We will no longer export poverty while importing false promises. We will transform our resources into wealth, our wealth into power, and our power into dignity. And let the world hear this clearly. By signing this deal with Turkey, Burkina Faso has not just gained a partner. It has sent a message to France and to the United States, a message of defiance, a message of finality. We are no longer afraid, we are no longer kneeling, we are no longer waiting for handouts wrapped in chains. The days when France dictated our budgets are over. The days when America used state as a weapon are finished. The days when Burkina Faso was seen as a weak and voiceless colony are gone forever. And we know, brothers and sisters, that this act of sovereignty will not go unanswered. France will tremble, the United States will plot. They will send their journalists to smear us, their diplomats to pressure us, their agents to destabilize us. They will whisper in the ears of the timid, they will dangle bribes before the corrupt, they will attempt to sow division among us. But let them come, because this time we are ready. This time, the spirit of Sankara, the courage of our ancestors, and the unity of our people will not allow betrayal. This time, our people understand that freedom is not given, it is seized. Brothers and sisters, do not mistake this moment as one isolated contract. This is the first stone in a fortress of sovereignty. This is the torch that will light fires across Africa. If Burkina Faso can stand against France, then so can Mali. If Mali can resist the West, then so can Niger. If Niger can defy, then so can Congo, Ghana, Tanzania, and beyond. This is the beginning of a continental awakening. And the world knows it. That is why they fear us. That is why they try to strangle us with propaganda. That is why they tremble as we rise. Think of what this $20 billion deal symbolizes. It is more than infrastructure. It is more than technology. It is the declaration that Africa can build without Europe. It is the proclamation that Africa can trade without America. It is the demonstration that our resources are not destined to serve others forever. When Turkey invests, it shows that we have choices. When Burkina Faso accepts, it shows that we have courage. And when we succeed, it will show that Africa has power. This moment is historic because it is the first time in modern history that a West African nation has secured such a colossal investment without the approval of the West. They told us it was impossible. They told us we could not survive without France. They told us we could not progress without America. They told us we would collapse if we resisted. And yet here we stand, stronger than ever, louder than ever, prouder than ever. And let me be clear, this deal is not about replacing one master with another. No. This is not about bowing to Turkey instead of France. This is about building genuine partnerships based on equality, respect, and mutual benefit. This is about ending the era of dependency and beginning the era of sovereignty. We are not exchanging chains, we are breaking them. Brothers and sisters, let the people of France hear me. Your time of feasting on Africa is over. Your uranium will no longer fuel your lights while Niger remains in darkness. Your gold will no longer secure your banks while Burkina Faso remains in poverty. Your control over our leaders, your manipulation of our politics, your arrogance in our lands, it ends today. And to the United States, let this be clear. We are not pawns in your global chessboard. We are not pieces to be moved at your command. We are not resources to be extracted at your leisure. We are nations, we are people, we are sovereign, and we will stand tall whether you approve or not. Today, in Ouagadougou, in Bamako, in Niamey, the air is different, it is heavy with courage, it is charged with possibility. For the first time in generations, our children will grow up knowing that their country can decide its own future. They will see that their leaders can sign deals not to enrich themselves, but to uplift the nation. They will understand that being African is not a curse, but the greatest blessing. Yes, brothers and sisters, the journey ahead will be hard. Yes, the West will retaliate. Yes, sacrifices will be demanded. But let us remember, we have suffered worse. We endured slavery, and we survived. We endured colonization, and we survived. We endured decades of theft and humiliation, and we survived. If we could survive those centuries of chains, then surely we can survive the storm of independence. This is not the end of the struggle, it is the beginning. But it is a beginning written in strength, not weakness. It is a beginning born of choice, not coercion. It is a beginning that announces to the world, Burkina Faso is free. Africa is rising, and nothing will stop us. So let the West collapse under the weight of its arrogance. Let their threats fall on deaf ears. Let their propaganda echo into emptiness. Because today, with this $20 billion deal, Burkina Faso has declared something greater than wealth. We have declared our sovereignty, and no empire, no matter how old or how powerful, can turn back the tide of freedom once it has begun to flow. Brothers and sisters, let us look now at the world beyond our borders and see the ripples caused by this single act of courage. In Paris, the walls of the tremble, for they know that the days of dictating Africa's destiny are over. In Washington, strategists scramble in confusion, for they cannot comprehend how a small landlocked nation dared to reject their invisible chains. In Brussels, the bureaucrats whisper nervously, for they see that the tide of history is no longer in their favor. This $20 billion deal is not merely an agreement between Burkina Faso and Turkey, it is a rupture in the order of the world, a challenge to a system that has oppressed us for centuries. In the newspapers of the West, they will write that Burkina Faso has taken a reckless path. They will say we are naive. They will say we are playing with fire. But who are they to lecture us? Are they not the same who built their empires by stealing from us? Are they not the same who financed their modernity with African sweat and blood? Are they not the same who reduced us to beggars while they enriched themselves beyond imagination? Let them call us reckless, for history will call us brave. Let them call us naive, for history will call us visionary. Let them call us defiant, for history will call us free. And as they plot, as they whisper, as they rage, something more powerful is happening in the hearts of Africans. Across the continent, in Bamako, in Niamey, in Accra, in Dakar, in Kinshasa, in Dar es Salaam, our brothers and sisters are watching and learning. They see that Burkina Faso, once dismissed as weak, once overlooked by the world, has dared to break the mold. They see that sovereignty is not a dream, but a living reality. They see that if Burkina Faso can stand, so can they. This is the true power of today. The West is afraid not simply because of $20 billion, but because of the example it sets. They fear the contagion of courage. They fear that Mali will follow with its gold. They fear that Niger will follow with its uranium. They fear that Congo will follow with its cobalt. They fear that soon the entire continent will say, enough, enough of being robbed, enough of being lectured, enough of being trapped, enough of being used as a resource mine while our children suffer. Brothers and sisters, do you not feel it? The chains are loosening, the walls of fear are cracking, the world that once seemed unshakable is crumbling, and it is crumbling not because we asked politely, but because we dared to act. This deal is not only about money, it is about vision. With $20 billion, we will not simply build roads, we will build independence. We will not simply build factories, we will build pride. We will not simply build infrastructure, we will build a future where no child in Burkina Faso grows up believing that progress comes only from Europe or America. Our children will know that progress can come from Africa itself, from choices we make, from alliances we form, from courage we summon, and to those who say Turkey is only another power-seeking influence, let me be clear, partnership is not slavery, partnership is not surrender, partnership is not colonization. Partnership is a choice, and choices are the very essence of sovereignty. France did not come as a partner, it came as a master. The United States did not come as a friend, it came as a manipulator. But Turkey has come with respect, with recognition, with a willingness to stand as equals. This is the difference. This is why the winds of change are blowing, and why the West fears them. Now the question must be asked, what will Africa do with this moment? Will we watch Burkina Faso rise and remain spectators, or will we rise together? Will we admire courage from afar, or will we join in courage ourselves? Will we continue to sell our resources raw, to let our wealth be drained, to let our sovereignty be mocked, or will we unite and declare that Africa will never again be a colony of anyone? My brothers and sisters, let us remember, the world is changing, the centers of power are shifting, the empires of yesterday are falling, while new alliances are forming. The West is no longer invincible, its economies tremble under debt, its societies are fractured by inequality, its arrogance is exposed by its decline. Meanwhile, nations once ignored nations in Asia, in the Middle East, in Africa are rising. We must seize this moment. We must not let fear hold us back. We must not let propaganda confuse us. We must not let traitors sell us out. Burkina Faso has chosen sovereignty, and that choice has inspired millions. But inspiration alone is not enough. We must act. We must transform this spirit into policies, into industries, into armies, into schools, into power. We must defend what we build, for we know the West will not sit quietly as we free ourselves. They will send their tools of destruction. They will send their economic weapons. They will send their mercenaries of chaos. But let them come, for we will not kneel again. This is a call to Africa. Wake up, unite, stand tall. The age of colonial submission is over. The age of sovereignty is here, and Burkina Faso has lit the flame. Brothers and sisters, as I stand before you today, I see a vision of the future. I see a Burkina Faso where our gold is refined at home, not stolen abroad. I see a Burkina Faso where our cotton is woven into fine garments in our own factories, not shipped raw to Paris. I see a Burkina Faso where our children graduate from universities, built by our own resources, not from foreign handouts. I see a Burkina Faso where our soldiers defend our land with weapons made in our own industries, not bought at inflated prices from foreign powers. I see a Burkina Faso where dignity is not a dream, but a daily reality. And this vision is not for Burkina Faso alone, it is for Africa. For what good is independence if only one nation has it? What good is dignity if only one people taste it? What good is sovereignty if only one border secures it? We must rise together, for our strength is not in isolation but in unity. So let the West rage, let them threaten, let them conspire. Their time is ending, their empire is collapsing. They can no longer dictate to Africa, because Africa is awakening. They can no longer rob us in silence, because we are speaking. They can no longer divide us with lies, because we have learned the truth. Today, Burkina Faso and Turkey have signed a $20 billion investment deal, but what we have truly signed is the death certificate of neocolonialism. What we have truly signed is the beginning of Africa's century. What we have truly signed is a declaration that our future belongs to us. My brothers and sisters, this is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of a march. A march that will be long, a march that will be difficult, a march that will be opposed at every step, but it is a march that will end in victory. And when that victory comes, when Africa stands as one, when our resources fuel our own progress, when our children inherit dignity and not despair, then the world will remember this day. They will remember the day Burkina Faso stood tall. They will remember the day Africa found her voice. They will remember the day the West trembled, and the colonized became free. So rise, Burkina Faso. Rise, Africa. The time is now, the hour has come, the chains are broken, the path is open, and history is watching. Let us march forward together, not as slaves, not as beggars, not as pawns, but as sovereign nations, as a proud continent, as a free people. And to France, to the United States, to every empire that ever thought Africa was its playground, hear this clearly: we are done kneeling, we are done bleeding for your wealth, we are done obeying your commands. From this day forward, Africa chooses its own path, and no force on this earth can turn us back. This is our time, this is our destiny, and we will not let it slip away.